Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to show you how to put together the ultimate vegan taco night. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. Alright guys, welcome to my kitchen. Today we are doing the ultimate vegan taco night. So my husband is on his way home, takes him about 20-30 minutes to get home. So we are just going to go ahead and jump right into this. I'm going to start off by making Minimalist Baker's Quinoa taco meat. This is our absolute favorite vegan taco meat. So I'm going to take about 1.5 cups of quinoa, and I'm actually going to go ahead and put it in my Instant Pot because that takes about 5 minutes to cook. So do 1.5 cups of that. And then in the Instant Pot, I'm going to do about, what is that? A cup, 1 3/4 cup. I'm just trying to do the math. Is that right? Yes. So 1 3/4 cup of just regular old vegetable broth in there. So this is sealed. And I'm going to go ahead and get that started. I'm going to do manual high pressure for 5 minutes. And while that is going, I am going to actually be making some pico de gallo. So I actually did not get a bowl, so let me go ahead and grab a bowl really quick. All right, I am all set with a bowl to put my pico de gallo in. And I'm going to start off by doing a fine dice on this red onion that I had from the other day. And I've got a garbage bowl here in front of me as well. So now this half an onion, little trick for you when you're dicing onions, if you leave the root end on, it holds the onion together for you while you're dicing it, and it makes dicing a whole lot easier. So I'm just going to go ahead and slice down into this. All right, that's a good amount of red onions. And I'm going to get these started marinating in some lime juice to kind of like cool down their flavor a bit, kind of make it a little bit milder. So just put in a bunch of lime juice. I don't ever measure, I just kind of do to taste. And we'll go ahead and stir that up. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and dice up a couple of tomatoes. I do need to rinse these off, so I'll be right back. All right, so my tomatoes are rinsed off, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut the top off. And I really don't like to waste tomato if I don't have to, so I'm just going to go ahead and dice up the top there. And I think my knife needs a little bit of sharpening. It's a little dull. The key to chopping tomatoes easily and not crushing them is to have a nice sharp knife. So let me grab my sharpening tool. All right, so I'm just going to sharpen this really quick. This is just a honing steel that comes with my set of knives. There we go. All right, so I'm just gonna chop these up into big, huge slices, and then I'm gonna dice a couple of those at a time. Make sure you can see what I'm doing. My counter space is quite limited today because I have all of the ingredients out for this ultimate taco night. And of course, as always, I've got my little supervisor over here on the side. My now 7-month-old, she turned 7 months the other day, and I didn't even realize that I was still calling her a 6-month-old. All right, so there's one tomato. And I'm going to try and fit a second tomato in there. We'll see if it all fits. Now this pico de gallo is super easy to make. You don't really have to measure anything. It's literally just all to taste, however you like it. And I sometimes will use small cherry tomatoes. Those are quite delicious in a pico de gallo. They are very flavorful. But what we've got right now is some slicing tomatoes, and they are actually a lot quicker to slice up. So, let's see here. I don't remember if I set my Instant Pot to sealing, so let's just double check. Okay, it is on sealing. It's still heating up to cook that quinoa. Alright, so next, after this, we are going to chop up some fresh cilantro and put that in there. Alright, so I'm going to chop up some cilantro now, and this is how I keep my cilantro in the refrigerator. I keep it in a jar with just a little bit of water. You put a bag over it, and it helps it stay fresh just a little bit longer. Cilantro is quite delicate, even though it's very delicious and very strong tasting. So I'm just going to kind of grab a bunch off of here. Now I use stem and all on cilantro, so you don't have to worry about picking the leaves off. You can totally use the stems too. And I'm just going to give it a chop here as best I can. Make sure there's not any leaves that are too large. Alright, and just gonna go ahead and throw that in. Alright, then I'm going to throw some salt in there and stir it up, and then I'm just going to throw it in the fridge and let it just all kind of marinate, let all the flavors meld together until it gets nice and delicious. And it should be ready by the time that we are ready to eat dinner. I'm going to throw a little bit more lime juice on there, just because there's a lot more volume in there now. My three-nager is over there watching a show because, you know, you gotta get stuff done. Do you want more water, hun? Yes. All right, bring me your cup and I'll get more water. All right, so my three-nager has her water, and while that happened, the Instant Pot finished cooking. I just went ahead and did a quick release. I pulled the pot out, and I'm just gonna mix in the other ingredients right into this pot. I'm gonna take about half a can of Rotel. Just kind of throw that in there. It calls for, I believe, a half a cup of salsa per the 1 cup of quinoa. So I'm just going to throw in about a half a can of that. Then I've got my homemade taco sauce here. The original recipe calls for separate ingredients. I actually just like using taco seasoning. So I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of taco seasoning. Then I'm just going to go ahead and mix that all up. The original recipe also calls for, I believe it's a tablespoon of oil or so, and we are oil free, so I actually just leave that out, and this turns out just as good as when I used to cook it with the oil. So if you are also trying to go oil free, go ahead and just try leaving that out as well and see how you like it. I'm going to put a link to the original recipe down in the description box, so be sure to check there for that link, as well as all sorts of other links for this ultimate vegan taco night. So that is all combined. I'm going to go ahead and move this over. Now I've got a baking sheet here with a silicone baking mat. I'll also put a link to those down below. I love this specific brand because it goes edge to edge, so I don't get anything lost off the edge of the silicone baking mat. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and dump this in, or on rather, onto the baking sheet here. Ooh, it's kind of heavy. I made more than usual because I wanted lots of leftovers. All right, so there's that. And I'm just gonna go ahead and spread it out corner to corner. And somebody had asked me one time what baking it does. It dries it out and makes it a little crispy, so you kind of get the feel of ground beef, like you know, if you had ground beef in a pan. So that is ready to go in the oven. I've got my oven heated up to 400 degrees already, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put this in to the oven. I'm gonna rinse out my Instant Pot, and then I'm gonna come back and show you how to make Spanish rice and refried beans in the Instant Pot using the pot and pot method. So we're gonna make those at the same time, so I will be right back. All right, so my quinoa is in the oven for about 20 minutes. I've got the timer set. I did a quick rinse on my Instant Pot. I didn't wash it too thoroughly because we're gonna be using the same flavors for the Spanish rice and refried beans. So let's go ahead and get started on that. I'm gonna start by putting the beans in the actual pot here and get my recipe out, because these have to be exact ratios so that I can use the pot and pot method and everything's gonna fit. So for beans, we're gonna do 2 cups of dried pinto beans. You don't need to wash, rinse, soak, none of that. Just go ahead and throw them in. And then, let's see, I need 4.5 cups of liquid. I'm gonna go ahead and use, there's a little bit of this left. So let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and pour that in there, and then I'm just gonna do the rest water. You can use broth, you can use water. I've honestly found it doesn't really make that much of a difference for the refried beans. So let me go ahead and fill this up to 4.5 cups, and I'll be right back. All right, so I've got my beans and the water in there now, and I'm just gonna go ahead and set this in the Instant Pot so I have more room to work here. We are gonna go ahead and make that Spanish rice now. And what I'm gonna do, I have this trivet. I will put a link to this down in the description box. I'm just gonna go ahead and set that right down in there. Then I have this little tin with a lid. It's like a tiffin tin. So I'm gonna make the Spanish rice in this tin. So set that right there. And it's gonna be 1.5 cups of rice. So this is a 1/2 cup measure, so I'm gonna do 3 of them. And I'm using white long grain rice. You can use any kind of white rice. My 7-month-old is talking with me. You don't wanna use brown rice though, because it takes too long to cook and it won't be done by the time that the beans are done. So there's my rice. Then I'm gonna go ahead and add in, this is 1.5 cups of veggie broth. This does require veggie broth for it to taste good. I'm just gonna go ahead and add that right in there. Then we need an onion. So I'm just gonna dice up this onion really quick. Now this recipe, I usually put in like 1/2 of a small, or 1/2 of like a medium-sized onion or so. This onion that I have right here is really tiny, so I'm just gonna use the whole thing. And this is just a brown, regular old brown onion. My 7-month-old is learning to talk and make all kinds of new and fun sounds. So it is always quite loud around this house now. Now, if you don't have fresh onion, you could also make this with like dehydrated onions that you find in the spice aisle. That will totally work as well. Just dump a bunch in there. You don't really have to measure. What you really need to measure is the rice and the water, and the beans and the water. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that in there. And we're also going to put some diced tomatoes. I'm going to use about 1/2 of this can or so, and then 1/2 cup of tomato sauce. So let me go ahead and get these open real quick. All right, so I've got these open. I'm going to measure out about 1/2 cup. It's almost the whole can. I will just freeze the rest of that and use it in another recipe. Okay, set that right there. Then I'm going to use about 1/2 of this can of diced tomatoes. And I'm just going to go ahead and stir that up. I'm going to put a tablespoon of taco seasoning in there. couldn't tell, I like my taco seasoning quite a bit. It makes seasoning dishes like this very easy because it has the entire flavor profile that you need for all of these dishes. Okay, just go ahead and mix that up. All right, now I'm gonna put the lid on there, and I have taken I've made what's called a sling, and I've taken a strip of just a regular aluminum foil and folded it into this long strip. This is gonna be the sling to lower my pan into the Instant Pot. Go ahead and put that in there. All right, so I've got that in there now, and now because I just cooked something in my Instant Pot, I wanted to make sure that my sealing ring wasn't hot and stretched out of shape. So sometimes I won't get a good seal if it's still warm, so I just went ahead and put it in my freezer. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the lid right now. All right, there we go, and it feels pretty cold. I don't think it's still warm. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid on, set it to manual high pressure. I'm gonna make sure it's sealed. And we're gonna cook this for 45 minutes. And then once it's done cooking, I'm gonna do a natural pressure release. I'm gonna let it release the pressure for about 10 minutes on its own, and then I'll go ahead and release the rest of the pressure. When the timer's done up on my quinoa, I'm gonna go ahead and give that a stir and put it back in there for 20 minutes. So once all of that is done, I will see you right back here. All right guys, so the quinoa is done cooking, and I just went ahead and put it in this bowl to keep it warm. The rice and beans are also done. I just took the pot out of the Instant Pot. I'm gonna go ahead and take out the Spanish rice here and let it sit for a little bit. And I'm gonna pull out this trivet. Set that aside, and then I'll show you what the beans look like. Now, what I'm gonna do to turn these into refried beans is I'm gonna take my immersion blender and blend that up. But before I do, I'm gonna add a little bit of this Rotel, and I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of taco seasoning. That just gives it a nice flavor. All right. Then I'm just going to go ahead and mix it up.
Okay.
What, baby?
I don't want to eat dinner.
You don't have to. This is just for Mommy and Daddy. This isn't for you. Leave it a little bit chunky because I like home style refried beans. When that is done, set those aside and let them cool off. Then for the Spanish rice, I'm gonna go ahead and take it out of this tin. It's very hot and very full, so it's really hard to kind of stir this up in here. So I usually put it in a larger bowl so that I can stir it up. So let's do that. Ooh, hot. Oof, oof, oof. That's very, very sticky rice too. Dump it out now. There we go. Okay. So just give that a nice stir. And that little pot makes quite a bit of rice, as you can see. All right, so that is it. I did actually, while all of this was going, I made some cheese, so I'm gonna go ahead and shred that up. Earlier today I made some sour cream, so I'm gonna put that out. And I'm gonna actually turn the camera around and I'll just kind of show you the spread of everything that we've got for this ultimate vegan taco night. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already a subscriber, be sure to click that little red subscribe button down below so you don't miss any of my videos. And I will see you next time. All right, guys, so here is our taco spread. We have that quinoa taco meat here. We have the pico de gallo, the Spanish rice. This is that cheese that I made off camera. I'm still kind of perfecting that recipe, so I don't have it for you yet. Here is the sour cream that I made. It's actually a yogurt that I've just cultured longer. I will go ahead and put the link right up there in the corner to that video if you want to see it. We've got some romaine lettuce, some diced avocado. There is my pinto beans. We've got some tapatio sauce, and then of course our hard taco shells and our soft taco shells that I just went ahead and warmed up. So there you have it. There's the ultimate vegan taco spread for your Taco Tuesdays.